Hello, world. My next guest is a brand marketing leader with over 15 years of experience across B2B, B2C, and B2B2C brands. She's famously led in-house brand, marketing, and business development teams, as well as agency-side teams for household brand names. Some of her favorite brand work includes Atlassian, Block, Blizzard Entertainment, Guidewire, Lucid Motors, NanoWalls, Ripple, Salesforce, and UCSF. Please welcome Sarah Emmott, Head of Brand for Work Management by Atlassian, to the show. Sarah, are you ready to get radically transparent with me?
Yes, I am. Thanks, Jen, and thank you for that warm welcome.
Absolutely. We're really excited to have you here, and we're going to talk about a lot of really interesting things on today's show. But I have to keep within the show's tradition. Sarah, what's keeping you up at night professionally these days?
Sure. Well, I think my answer will be similar to a lot of marketers in tech right now. It's an interesting economy. And I think for many of us, we're being asked to do more with less across marketing. And what that so often translates to is more emphasis on performance marketing and less emphasis on brand marketing. And as a brand marketer, I have to say it concerns me, and I think it is a short-sighted strategy. The top of the funnel brand marketing campaign should always feed the bottom of the funnel performance and make it stronger. It makes it more efficient, makes your spend better. And when you kind of cut the corners on creative and don't do the testing and don't do the optimizing, you have shorter campaigns. But really, the best brand campaigns can run for years if you keep optimizing them and keep figuring out your best channels. So there's a huge, return on investment if you play the long game. What gives me hope is seeing, large brands like Airbnb echo that sentiment and say, we played this long game, and over these 2 years, both the CFO and CEO chiming in saying our investment in brand marketing and shifting it away from performance has really paid off. We have people coming to us for the right reasons. We're not buying our customers, we're educating them. And we have, higher quality hosts, and we have more retention. So, kind of like louder for the people in the back. We need to be still investing in brand marketing, even in challenging economies. And they're seeing that pay off with our highest earnings to date. So those kind of, rays of sunshine give me hope.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more about being kept up at night when it comes to brand. I mean, it's hard to measure, right? It's hard to sometimes justify. And so I want to shift the conversation for a moment, because I think brand and social media go hand in hand. And I want to get radically transparent with you for a moment, because the work that you've been doing on social media specifically is quite phenomenal. And I think it's quite impressive when it comes to social, right? It's there is no playbook on social. Can you walk us through what the brand team has been up to and how you're approaching social?
Sure. Yes, and thank you. It's many team members involved. So I'm so proud of all the work that we've done. So I'll kind of focus first on Confluence by Atlassian, because that's where we've really put a lot of energy into a new social strategy. And for us, it really starts with insights. You can see awesome campaigns out there and say, oh, I want to be doing just that. Or you see, a really great influencer, oh, that's for me. And that's not always the case. You need to understand what's right for your brand, what channels are right for you in social, who your best influencers really can be. And very often it's not a big splashy name. It's a micro influencer with a very niche audience that is focused, for us at Atlassian, it's project collaboration. And there's different influencers that have project collaboration followings. And so they're going to lead to, very high quality signups. So looking at our insights, and what we started with was a really deep social listening research report that I think was like 100 plus pages, and was just so rich with SEO recommendations and what types of content, user-generated content we were really low on. And you want those authentic voices. You want the creators, you want the brand advocates really singing your praises for you. We were really low on YouTube. which isn't always thought of for social, but actually is very much a social channel. You can follow your best commenters, and you can really see who your brand advocates are. And you can also really kind of go full funnel with YouTube. And then lastly, not having an influencer marketing program was hurting us. So we kind of got these really big nuggets to then say, okay, here's how we're going to build the strategy. We're going to focus on YouTube. We're going to launch an influencer marketing program. We're going to go deeper with SEO across social. And we're really going to move the needle in kind of the ultimate measurement, which is share of voice. That's what the report so interestingly dove into, as well as what is the sentiment across your organic channels and people talking about you unprovoked. So it's not like the brand communications, it's what are people saying about you across LinkedIn, Facebook, Reddit, all of it. So you can see, okay, sentiment is high here on these certain characteristics of our brand. Sentiment is low here. We need to work on this. And here's where we have our loudest advocates. And here's where we're competing, sometimes not so well against certain competitors who have a high share of voice in a certain topic, and well against others where we do have a higher share of voice. So yeah, I can't emphasize enough the importance of insights for us and looking at that larger kind of share of voice metric.
I love that. And I think, again, when it comes to social media, right, you can do all of the campaigns and all of the social posts that you want. But if you can't gain insights from what you're posting to be able to improve your strategy, you really aren't going to move the needle forward for the organization, nor are you going to move your career forward, because that's right. That's half the battle, is understanding what you're putting out there and what that means. So I was wondering if you might be able to reveal some of Atlassian's social strategy, because what I think is interesting and what I don't hear often, right? You started with social listening. You started with understanding what's being said before even building this strategy. So talk to us about measuring and what you care about, and what does the tone of voice actually look like for your team?
Yeah, I love that you've brought up measurement, because it is so critical for social media, for brand marketers, especially when you, like myself, are in a product-led growth company. So that means, the emphasis is on R&D, the emphasis and the budgets go towards product. You need to continually prove out the importance of brand marketing and social. So having a strong measurement, system and regularly reporting on it and sharing with leadership is so critical to prove out not only the value, but to keep the budgets that you need to do all the great work. So yes, for us, measurement, we do a larger kind of gamut of measurement right now because we've started so many net new initiatives within social. So it runs from the classic engagement and followers and the volume of content we're putting out, to the higher level share of voice. We also have started looking at share of mind, which is a metric that kind of reflects SEO and your overall content. But social is content. It's, it's a very specific form of it, but it is 100% part of your content marketing. So it very much contributes to SEO. And, looking at the overall strategy for us in a product-led growth company, social need to feed more than just the awareness level. We need to look at different opportunities for it to feed a fuller funnel approach, which is why I also love YouTube. And I promise I'm not being paid by them for this podcast, but I love them because you can do awareness with influencers and you can get those great, eyeballs to your content, but then you can do great consideration content with how-to videos. And then you can go down to demos when people are evaluating your products versus another. I mean, it's really everything. And it's also the second largest search engine in the world. So if you're not having a great YouTube strategy as part of your social strategy, you're really missing out on so many different metrics across marketing. So it's not just, a social strategy, it's, a full funnel approach that we try to marry our strategy to.
I think that's so interesting. And I love to hear you say YouTube, right? And especially because, right, when you think about social media management, you're constantly thinking about LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, maybe Instagram's thrown in there, right? And we're seeing TikTok pop up, but right, YouTube isn't first to mind, but you're 100% right in what you're saying, right? In terms of influencers and in terms of being the second largest search engine, like it seems like a no-brainer. We should absolutely be there. So I want to shift for a moment because, again, If anyone listening heads over to Atlassian social channels and you just take a look at what's happening, the magic is just unbelievable. Can you talk to us a little bit about what is one of your proudest moments, or what are you most proud of when it comes to your social, and why?
Sure. Well, I'm proud of a lot of things, mostly the team overall. We've had an incredible team, especially Confluence by Atlassian social team. But then when I look at kind of the translation of that into what's happening on social, the team's work coming to life, we recently had a paid influencer become a true brand advocate, hashtag not an ad. And she started posting our content because she just loved it. She's like, this is really great project collaboration templates. I'm using them in my day-to-day life. I'm going to post about it because I believe in it. And I was like, yes, that's, the holy grail, what you want when an influencer truly does love, what you're selling and what you're providing. And for us, it's in project collaboration. It was pretty monumental and eye-opening to see, okay, this is what, we want to strive for. But I think part of the magic there was we are being very strategic with our influencer program. So it's not the Kardashians of the world who are our influencers. It's the micro and niche influencers who have that really curated audience, who are really interested in project collaboration or better ways of working and productivity and teamwork, all of our brand attributes. And so they're so much more likely to actually sign up. So our influencers are not just awareness and brand perception, they're really driving signups, which is incredible. And in, so often now with the changes to iOS and paid ads not being as effective, the influencer marketing is actually what's getting through and what's making a difference for marketing programs. So that's another point to kind of be excited about in proud moments.
Absolutely. Congratulations. And listen, we kind of mentioned, we talked about YouTube, but I'm curious, what channels, and we spoke about, like, when it comes to, social media management, B2B, maybe, yeah, I know you dabble in B2B, B2C, B2B to C.
Yes.
So what channels have you been leaning into that you found yield the most results or seem to be the most successful channels for you?
Sure. So that for us really depends on the audience.
Okay.
So we have a really wide gamut of an audience between our users who can onboard themselves and sign up for free, and we're really a self-serve flywheel, which also, social media is so critical for that flywheel because they're going to find us out on their own. They're going to try our how-to videos on YouTube or through influencers, and then they're going to sign up. So social media critical for the flywheel, but then in certain channels are better for that, like the TikTok, like YouTube. But then when we look at the other end of our audience, when it is IT decision makers who are actually, looking at a solution and a suite of offerings that are not necessarily signing up for just one product, they're really looking for Atlassian to kind of underpin their business model and make a huge teamwork grid to make their collaboration better. That's a totally different narrative. And that's a very thought-leading narrative that we push out on LinkedIn, and we have our execs kind of seeing those, sentiments around truly what it means to be a thought leader in project collaboration. And I think with LinkedIn and kind of the new creator economy, there's such rich opportunity for that within LinkedIn. And we're kind of starting those wheels now. So it's not just our execs and it's not just us in the press with thought leading pieces, but we have creators singing those sentiments too for our IT decision makers.
I love that. I love that. So, once you kind of hit that moment where you know which channels you need to be a part of, you've understood your tone, you know what you care about, you know what you're measuring, right? How have you grown your social presence?
Yeah, I mean, the creators is a great example of it. So we've just started the program, but it extends your reach in a way that you can't do as a brand. So this kind of goes back to your first question around kind of what's keeping you up at night and when you're shifting budgets and you're asked to do more with less, really looking at your arsenal and saying, who are our marketing, mavens? Who's our marketing force? And very often it's your own employees that can help, create content and help extend your reach. It's your brand advocates who, want to build up their creator profile and are authentic users and can really, put out the messages for you and create awesome content. And those things kind of really move the needle in a way that I think if you're only thinking as a brand and you're only thinking about the own campaign that you control with paid, you're missing huge opportunities to really dial up your social metrics and using kind of your organic employee and brand advocate force out and creating content.
Absolutely. I think when it comes to employee advocacy and brand advocates and social advocacy, it's such an important part and an important piece of a strategy. I'm just curious to ask, and there's no right answer, right? But how do you feel your work, in your opinion, on social is playing a role in the buyer journey?
So this for us, is kind of an infancy. And I expect us to have a larger role in it going forward as we really marry more of our top of the funnel with bottom of the funnel and using social and organic throughout. But I think the most pointed example would be our successes on YouTube. So when we see, it complementing the entire buyer journey from users who find us through search and it's coming up on that first page of Google and they're trying out our how-to content and they're signing up right there. That's awesome. That's like hand in hand, accomplishing the buyer journey in a way that we can't without it. And then when I look at our sales motion and it's a more sophisticated model and we're really educating the enterprise and we're looking at IT decision makers, social again is part of that wheel because they'll find us out on LinkedIn, they'll see the thought leading pieces. And for that strategy, the buyer's journey is really hand in hand with comms. So I think it's also really critical to look at your comms team. And if you're not working with them as your social team, that's a missed opportunity because for that buyer's journey, what you're putting out and kind of the synchronization you can have between social and on those, particular channels for decision makers, you can marry it with your comm strategy in a way that influences the buyer journey that it wouldn't otherwise.
Absolutely. And I think, right, I really do think it's social media's time to shine. I think for so long, organizations, it was like at one point, it's a nice to have, and then it's kind of become a must have. But with its role in the buyer journey, I do think we're going to see that this is now social media's time to shine. So last question for you, Sarah.
Time to shine. It's like
right?
Content and social. They're synonymous,
Right? It's so yes. So listen, this was a fantastic episode. And, when you go to LinkedIn, anybody who's not following Sarah, please go ahead and follow her. She puts some great things out there. What's one thing you can tell us about yourself that we actually cannot learn about you from your LinkedIn profile?
Well, I hear this from my teammates or kind of people around the organization. I think I come off very serious. And maybe even this podcast I have as well, but I'm actually pretty goofy. I am usually the first one to kind of crack a joke in a meeting and try to bring some levity to conversations. I feel really passionate about brand marketing, marketing in general. But when it comes to day-to-day work, I think it's really important to have a sense of humor. And I look to, the people that I work with have the same because, life is too serious already. So work should be fun and should have, some levity to it. So you probably couldn't pick that up from my LinkedIn. I probably come off more serious than I actually am.
I love it. So if anybody listening in wants to learn more about Atlassian, they want to learn more about what you're up to or connect with you on marketing, on brand, where's the best place to connect?
My LinkedIn profile. And then for Atlassian, it's Atlassian.com, and you'll see all of our major brands there from Trello and Jira to Confluence. And we're here for any project collaboration needs you may have.
Fantastic, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for getting radically transparent.
Thank you so much, Jen.
Thanks for tuning in to the Radically Transparent podcast brought to you by Octopost, the only social media management and employee advocacy platform architected for B2B. I'm Jennifer Gutman, your host and director of social strategy here at Octopost. And if you love today's show, we'd love if you subscribe, rate, and give a raving review wherever you get your podcasts. For more discussion on B2B social media marketing, be sure to follow Octopost on LinkedIn. And of course, to gain access to all our free social media marketing and employee advocacy resources, head on over to our website, www.octopost.com. Until next time.